ChewintheCud, Season 1, Episode 6. My name's Andrew Jones.
And I'm Neil Greggor. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. It's a little bit different again today. Every time we do this, it's a little bit different. Unfortunately, Neil's unable to join us today. So Neil's online with us. But our guest today is Greg Ridout from Symonds Sampson. Welcome, Greg.
Good morning. How are you all?
We're doing well. We're doing well. What about you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah.
Good. We thought we'd ask Greg along. This is obviously December. It's our Christmas, I suppose, episode. Much as I hate to say that, because that seems a long way away still, even though we're in December. To add some joy in, well, what do auctioneers get up to? But we'll get on to that in a minute. I'm sure there's some stories.
Not a lot.
Yeah, that probably says it all, really. Not a lot, and yet take a load of money for doing not a lot.
Your professional career.
Makes sense.
So yeah, but no, you're all right there, Neil. Obviously online with us, but all good.
Yep. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Good. So anyway, Greg,
Yeah.
tell us a bit about yourself. What's your history? Where's your background? And how did you get to where you are today?
Typical 18-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, not knowing what to do, applying for university. Didn't really know what
off a farm originally.
Dairy farmer's son originally. Lived at Gillingham, Dorset all our lives. Haven't moved anywhere else. Traditional 150, 160 cow all year round herd. Dad and a dairyman, predominantly ever since I've known anything different, and then part-time help as and when required. So that was sort of that's at home, sort of all year round calving, sort of 10,000 litres and sort of as a true traditional family farm.
Yeah.
So that was all the way through. Went to school locally. Was sport obsessed. So hence the reason I wanted to go to university, basically to do more of that. Hockey was my main thing. So the main decisions when choosing a university was what had the best hockey teams and where could I play most amount of hockey. So that's honestly key.
So what did that limit? What did it bring it down?
Well, it took out Siren Session, took out Harper. So they went out the window because I wanted to play. So I ended up going to Oxford Brookes doing a commercial course of sort of property management. Came out of university in 2008. Terrible time. There was obviously the recession.
Credit crunch. Yeah.
So I was like, right, I've got no job prospects here because no one's recruiting. Sensible thing. Go to Maribel for a ski season. Did that. Got to about February and I thought, man, I'm going to end up being a bum doing this forever and ever. So came back in the end of February. I thought, right, what should I do? Anyway, managed to say that geography was very much included within commercial estate and property management. So blagged that very well. So
you're stretching that a little bit.
We did, bend the rules on that a little bit. Anyway, managed to do a PGCE down at Exeter to do teacher training. So I was thinking, yeah, right, I'm going to become a teacher. Good, because I can get some good school holidays, still go back on the farm.
You really don't want to do a lot of work here, do you? There seems to be a track here of not wanting to do a lot.
I just wanted to back the farm. I thought I need to get a different income and others to be involved in the farm. Anyway, then had an interview with a school on a Wednesday, not very far away from here. And then had an interview with Symonds Sampson on the Thursday. The school said no. Symonds Sampson said yes. So that was the end of my teaching career. And
Wow.
3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, I started as a rural surveyor in Wimborne. However, they didn't realise that my course was commercially focused, so I had not had a clue about any of the rural legislation and law. So they think they found that out about 6 months later when they started asking the 7 deadly sins of an AHA tenancy, and I was like, well, what are you on about? That's where we ended up. So I spent 2 years down in Wimborne, and then did my APC to become qualified. Did that, and then I was like, I just don't really want to be sat in an office all day doing valuation and planning work. Love the auctions. I've always loved kit ever since I was a little boy. So kit and cows, those are my two loves. Obviously, I'm the wife. Better drop that one in.
Just in case she's listening.
Exactly. And then ended up moving to the Oval Office, and then 12 years later now, head of farm sales. Partner within the company, and things have gone very well. But in that time at home, we haven't taken the focus off being at home. We've changed how that works now, so we've gone to sort of 160, 170 cow autumn block calving herd, dropped the yields from sort of 10,000 litres down to 8.5, touching 9 for probably this year. About a 14-week block window, so it gives a bit of pressure off of everything what we do. So our busy times for Symonds Sampson is predominantly through the spring to the summer, and then again in sort of September time. So it all works very well for that. So we haven't lost the farming focus at the same time.
So I was going to ask you that, as you sort of already asked it, is that the primary focus why you changed your system at home, so that it allowed you to work around it with your other job?
Yeah, predominantly. I just think that farming's got to have a better balance, and I'm not saying that any system's right or wrong, but for us, the young family, it's nice to be able to go away with the kids in the summer when you got most cows are dry by that time.
Yeah.
Cows, you go in the parlour, they're all in calf, all the hard work's done. You milk them, get them back out grazing, move a few fences and away you go. And then obviously when autumn time comes, we're limited on cow numbers because of our buildings. We don't really want to go and invest, hundreds of thousands on new cubicle sheds. So we want the litres. So that sort of went away from the spring calving system a little bit.
Yeah.
We're set up, we've got the parlour, we've got the infrastructure. So it made sense. We've got the silage pits and everything works. So we thought, right, we'll go autumn calving. And that's how we've carried on. Last few years, we've dropped some of the more extreme Holsteins, used a bit of a consultant for breeding, gone to a 3-way cross. So we've gone Holstein, cross Swedish Red, and then cross Brown Swiss. So we've just come to our sort of our first full sort of cycle now, going back through. Still learning, obviously. We've run out of straws this year with the Brown Swiss, so some of the Holsteins have gone back to Holstein. But it's every day's a school day, isn't it? You will learn. So.
So as you say, it fits in well. And let's be honest, there is more of a push to a balance in farming now. Younger generation, definitely. I mean, I don't know, but certainly my father's generation, that it was just work and that was all you did.
Yeah. And
there wasn't anything else beside it. And whereas now people want to spend time with rightfully so, spend time with their families and do things with their families. So that's fantastic. And so it obviously allows you to do your other. I don't know which one's the real job there, Greg.
So Symonds Sampson. Both, to be fair, they complement each other very well. So, Symonds Sampson is obviously my main job. But I do love the farm. I've loved everything about the farm from ever and ever. But
so Greg is going very red here, I should say. So sorry, I probably dropped a minute here.
But it's good to have both because you can actually you understand.
I must say though, this room is very nice. All the curtains are shut, the door's shut. I did wonder what Andrew was going to do to me in here.
As I tried to explain, I read somewhere that we are around my dining table like usual, but I read somewhere that hopefully it might improve the sound if you shut the curtains and it's not bouncing off the glass. So we're giving it a go and see what happens. But oh dear. So anyway, so. You say, so where is, I mean, obviously I know you up at Frome Market, but are you actually based out of Yeovil or? Yeah,
so we're based out of Yeovil. There's Frome Livestock Auctioneers, FLA, so it runs out of Frome Market, is owned between Cooper and Tanner and Symonds Sampson 50/50. That's why there's the Cooper and Tanner Auctioneers and Symonds Sampson Auctioneers. So that's how that works. But predominantly based out of the Yeovil office. But in the summer, very much out and about. Never really too much in the office. You're going from one auction to the next, and obviously there's private sales as well. It takes place that people don't see. People see us as the face of probably machinery more than anything else. But we do a lot of cows privately, a lot of machinery privately, a lot of fodder. We're probably we are the largest standing straw auction by a mile in the south of England. I think this year we've done 10 or 12,000 acres of standing crops. Which is a lot more than anyone else.
You mentioned forage. Where is forage at the moment? And as we're now December, and cows are finally in, but I know myself from doing various forage budgets, it's going to be tight if we have a late spring.
That's what I think. That is the gamble. The gamble is I think, and for the spring carvers, the spring carvers, as they always do, shop early. They're shopping in September, October. Most people aren't even thinking about it until February, March.
Yeah.
Don't buy unless they want to. Don't want to tie up cash. Cash is king, obviously, in the bank, and they don't want to tie up in fodder.
Yeah.
But they say storage in the clamps, money in the bank.
It is.
So, trying to get someone to sell 200 or 300 tons of surplus grass is generally fairly difficult. Those clamps are typically people who've sold their cows or sold the farm or something. Something fairly major happens. But I don't know where we're going to be really. Straw at the moment the market is very, very slow.
So we're early December as we record this, obviously to go out in our December episode.
Yeah, so straw is sort of £40, £50 a tonne.
Okay, not too bad at the moment.
So
really.
around this area, £70 a tonne-ish delivered in. You go further down to Devon, you're obviously up in your 80, 75, 80. That's for wheat. And then size round bales, the sale we had last month, so in the November sale, it's sort of 25 to sort of up to £30 a bale for round bales.
Yeah.
But looking forward, probably, I think, I don't know, there's a lot. There's this sort of late October, May grass won't be obviously be the best quality, but it will be a filler, and that will take the pressure off and keep the prices back.
You say that it might be wet, but I had a client decided to test his his grass because he had a lot of it, and let's be honest, we've suddenly got a lot of grass again.
Yeah,
it was like spring grass, and I think that's why we've seen the milk. UK's been above predicted, hasn't it, for October and November? That's because the grass was spring-like in quality. It was proper good stuff.
A bit like the 76 though, wasn't it? I remember my dad always said, he said that spring grass when it came back in September, October, when the rains came, he said it's dead, and everything was young shoots coming straight up through. So yeah, makes sense.
I made the comments on the other day that I shouldn't be surprised because I saw the same in Australia when you had the drought. When it came back, it was good stuff, and I think I cut my lawn more times in the autumn than I did in the spring.
You want to get a robot? Amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Get a robot. I shouted to the wife and said, "What a waste of money! What a complete faff."
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's also been really warm, hasn't it? I mean, it's been perfect grain for grass.
Oh, it has. It's been very good, and so that it might be half reasonable, this later cut stuff. I mean, where's maize looking at the moment as we're talking for?
Well, maize, we haven't noticed. That's $1 million question. Everybody's asking what the maize is worth, but standing crops back in when we say
September now, really.
Yeah, September time. We were selling crops. I'm not going to give you the headline prices because I don't want to add to the rumour mill. But we were selling crops. We were selling crops at £55, £60 a tonne, fresh weight off the farm, off the fields.
Yeah.
They got harvesting costs, clamping costs. Is it going to be £75 a tonne in the clamps? I don't know.
I certainly heard some sold at 70, just over 70 at the clamp, and I think that was going to a biodigester.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard that one as well.
Have you?
Yes, I have. I have.
Yeah. No,
let's not talk the trade up too much.
No.
That's the only one I've heard.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've heard so far. There is a little bit of maize about, but again, I think people are a little bit worried about the grass yields are down because of the drought.
Yeah.
Coming forward,
maize yields are down as well.
They are, and then on reflecting on what we've just had this summer, if you've got 500 tons in the clamp, you're probably going to hold on to it because if we have another dry spell again, that did save quite a few people.
There are a few around. I mean, I know a client. We're not looking to use. They're not dairy, but they've got, I think it was about 250 tons of maize, and I think at the moment we're probably looking. We'll sell it in the spring.
I know a good auctioneer.
Yeah, do you? Trevor.
Nah.
We're not supposed to be here as advertising for you.
No, we don't mind.
You can't even see my badge. I've got everything. Everything on today.
Never a problem.
Oh dear, not to worry. But so you've been doing this for a number of years now. So come on, what's some stories you can tell us from over the years? I don't know, for say, what's the highest priced animal you sold? What's the highest priced animal you brought? Or what stood out? Because I mean, I've had one of your colleagues, I don't exactly you, Bob, is it Mark Lewis?
Yeah.
Come and talk to a discussion group that I'm secretary for, and he certainly came out with some stories. So you must have got some as well.
No, I mean, Mark's stories are on another level. I think things that happened sort of 15, 20 years ago, you would get away with today.
Oh, I can believe that.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
What we have seen though in the last 18 months, these machinery prices have got dearer and dearer and dearer.
Have they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have.
Well,
we were, you go back 10 years ago, you were selling these like year-old John Deere's, like some 693, 753, those sort of things, like 45, 50 grand. Those tractors now, the same sort of horsepower, but the newer stuff is, you're looking sort of 80, 90, 100,000. A new 155 today, someone's like 120,000. Big money. Sold 130 horsepower John Deere, 1,500 hours back in the spring, 80 something thousand, 81.
Is that simply because they can't get hold of?
Can't get hold of them.
That's auctioneers. All it takes is two people. Because I remember when my old man sold up, where are we now? 97.
Yeah.
We had a year-old Krone, I think it was Krone, mower conditioner, and it sold for more money than what you paid for it new.
Yeah, we had that in the spring. We had that exactly the same thing in the spring. I think the farmer who sold it went and bought the same mower, exactly the same mower, but brand new for £70 less than what he sold it in the field. Yeah.
So why was he to start with then? If he was only going to go and buy another one anyway?
And why not? Good auctioneers.
Sell the old one and replace it with the new one. I like the concept.
Obviously, sell one and replace it with another one.
Well, this was, he was scaling back. This contract was scaling back, and he said, "I'll put it in. Put it in. If it doesn't make the money, I'll keep it."
Yeah.
And then you just see this massive smile on his face as he was selling it. Like, let that go.
So, well, that's £70 after you've taken your commission off.
Yeah.
That probably would have taken up the £70.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Well, £70 a change. That's all I.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But yeah, so machinery prices have been going up.
Yeah, they've rocked it. Cow prices obviously have come up considerably since this 50p.
Yeah.
Possibly they are under a little bit more pressure now. So where are we now? First week of December.
Yeah.
They're talking. The confidence probably has been knocked a little bit. Everyone's talking about milk price coming back down. Whether it comes down 2p, 3p, 10p, nobody knows. Yeah. Europe's production is up and seems to keep going up.
Probably for the same reason as we've just talked about.
Of course we have, yeah. So that is having an effect. So maybe, these commercial, that's such a thing, they're commercial freshly calved heifers at £2,500 upwards in some cases. Right. Are they going to come back to the £2,000? I don't think that. I still think now we've gone above the 2,000. It used to always be that 2,000 sort of a threshold. Yeah, it was. But I think now we've gone to 2.5. We'll probably fit somewhere between that 2 and 2.5 mark. I think.
It's funny how that works, isn't it? Where there's a threshold, and you go above the threshold, then everyone gets used to paying something more than what you were used to paying, and then it sort of becomes old hat. So that's good news.
It's a bit like land values, wasn't it? The whole 10,000. Nothing ever made more than 10,000, and then all of a sudden everything was worth 10,000.
I remember back when the old man sold about 3,000.
When I first started at Wimbledon, all those years ago, we were £7,500, £8,000 an acre.
Wow. Yeah.
And then overnight that went to 8.5 to 9, and then suddenly we're at 10.
Yeah.
Then we got up to 12.
Yeah.
In sort of 2010, when would that have been? 10, 11. Then it just eased back a touch and came back to this 8.5 to 9. And then I think now where we are in the last 18 months, you've got stuff that can make 8, it can make 10, it can make 12, it can make 15.
Things all the old rules have gone out the window.
They have.
In terms of whether it's cows, whether it's grain, whether it's feed, fertilizer, everything. I mean, I still get people ask me about different things, and you sort of, well, this is what I think, but you've almost got to give a bit of caveat with it that, well, it could all go out the window tomorrow because all we need is somebody to go and do something stupid like they did back in February, and everything changes again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not 100%.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
it's not following the rules. You think, oh, it's tracking this way, and then all of a sudden something else happens, and boom, it's all just changed.
Yeah.
I'll
What's the least fluctuation? What product is the least fluctuation? Cattle or machinery or land? Or so what goes up and down more or less?
The cows come up and down with the milk price.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but not drastically though, or how?
No, not drastically. Not drastically. You know, the biggest change is obviously land values because it's the the biggest sums of money.
But I mean, going back to cattle, I was going to say, I mean, you sold a client of mine's cows because he retired back in, was it March?
Yeah, some big Holsteins.
Yeah, and at the time he was pleased, and they were some good money. I mean, what did he average? About 1,500, I think it was.
1480 something.
Yeah, close to 15.
Yeah.
He was happy, and that seemed a good price at the time.
But things have gone forward since then.
But now they're bloody cheap.
Yeah, they do.
They look really cheap compared to what they are, because they were
hang
some
on.
good.
We got to say though, just on that one, they were loose housed.
Yeah, I know.
And that does pull them back a touch.
And I always said that to him. That's going to be your limiting factor, will be that will put. But I understand from several people who've had them. Majority of them went straight in the cubicles.
They did. Yeah, they did. But you know, loose housed cows typically do put buyers off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They always have done. And it probably would have been £100, £200, £100. Back then, though, everyone wanted cows.
Yeah.
And those cows were good, big Holstein cows. They were some of the biggest Holstein frame cows I think I've ever seen. They were some monsters in there. But they were a lovely herd. They're nice mix, strong cows. Be nice to have them every week.
They look good on the day.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I mean, I'd said that in the discussions, some others were suggesting to him wait till the autumn when he calved again. Yeah. And I said to him, well, he had other issues going, but I said to him, get rid of them in the spring. One of my reasonings was in the spring, people are going to be less worried about cubicle house because they'll be putting them out to graze or whatever it was.
100% agree with that.
And then they've got time to train them back in rather than they've got to go straight in. And I mean, he was certainly happy with it at the time, and they look so cheap compared to where things have gone.
But that could come back to that after Christmas.
Yeah,
we don't know. We could have, I sold 2, 3 herds last year privately, or this year privately, and every time you sold them, they've been dearer as you go through. Yeah. But if the confidence is that it gets knocked in the milk industry, are people going to be wanting to go out and buy a herd? They'll probably want to buy 10 or 20, and it'll just pull the price back a touch. Don't know. We'll wait and see. We're salesmen at the end of the day. We try to make the best we can possibly do out of all of it. So,
but we talk milk price and cows. If milk price comes back, where do you think it's going to go? Have you got a hotline of numbers that are going to ring you if milk price comes back?
No. And everyone says when the milk price comes back, there'll be a lot of farms on the market, a lot of cows to be sold. Yeah. We might get one or two that will sell the cows. Got a chap now who's going to be selling his cows in the spring. But that decision was made back in the summer, not now.
No, exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people have planned, the older generation who are, in their 60s now and the sons don't want to come through. Well, they've got a plan in their head. They're probably thinking, well, I'll milk for 2 more winters, or I'll milk. People. Yes, there are people who would jump on and say, right, that's it, I'm out. But really, most of them have a plan in place.
Well, that's that client I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean, I did his rationing 5 years, I think it was, and I always knew it was going to be another year or two, and then it came. That was it. I mean, let's be honest, he was 70. Yeah. No son to follow on. It was the right decision for him. Definitely the right decision for him, rather than just keep going for the sake of keeping going.
Well, and it's the investments now on these farms.
Yes.
To put up a new cubicle shed. Put up a new lagoon, even with the grants have just come in sort of this week. You're talking hundreds of thousands. In some cases, you're talking millions.
Yeah.
And you're tying up money. Interest rates are now at 4.5%, 5%.
Yeah.
Are they going to come back down? They're looking longer term. The interest rates will come back down. We had a chat yesterday. One of the banks came in, had a chat with us. They're talking interest rates back down later in 2023.
I did see a year or two, till just a year or two, sorry, a week or two ago, and then something happened immediately afterwards. I can't remember what it was, but it was already showing that long-term interest rates were
coming back down.
Coming back down again.
They will. And I keep saying, I might be completely wrong. I'm not on the economics, whatever they call it, details. But I think things have got too dear too quick.
Yeah.
And it's gone up. Look at the housing price. Look at the housing market. It's gone up and up and up and up and up. We've hit this plateau. Everyone's dumped all these houses on the market. Everyone's panicked. Everything else has jumped with it, with food and everything else.
Yeah, well, don't we just say is houses down an average of 1.4% or about £5,000 in the last month or something?
Well, I would say we've got 14 offices. Some offices are seeing it, and others have not seen any change whatsoever.
Yeah.
It depends on the way you are. It's that old location is key.
Yeah. Do you know, it's interesting. I know there's a friend of mine, a good friend of mine's a joiner, and I know he's probably going to listen to this, so hello. But I always ask him where it is, because usually you find if he slows down, you know things are slowing down, and when he picks up, you know things are going to pick up. And whenever I've asked him, he said, well, the work's still there.
Yes, yeah. The money's still out there, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we always used to say that even with cattle prices, there's always some time, like the first sale in January, or in our case, the first some in autumn or in spring, determines the prices throughout. And I suppose that's also good. But what you guys are speaking about, I went and listened to a very good talk on an exit plan for farmers, how it was actually more motivational talk about having an exit plan, which is what we're speaking about. Is if that guy's saying, for instance, he wants to, for another 4 years, wants to carry on dairy farming, and then make that plan that you mentioned. That's the best way to do it, because then everybody knows where you are and where you're at and what you're hoping to achieve. So, and it's so vitally important. But the other thing you mentioned was that obviously when it goes up and down with the milk price, the sort of beef cross dairy, and then less so, and then more so. So what I'm finding at the moment is it goes up and down a lot. But at the moment, there's a lot more guys that are even using conventional semen rather than just beef semen, because the beef price was so low. And the heifer price was, like you said, very high. So obviously you want to breed more of your own heifers if you were a flying herd or half flying herd or whatever the case might be. So it's all determined, isn't it, by little things. Let's
not talk about the calf price at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
The calf price. You know, again, the very, very best are still making very good money.
Exactly.
It's those small and medium type calves are really suffering.
But that's what we've actually said from the beginning, is that it's actually almost as much, your planning should be as good with your beef selection as what it would be with your Holstein selection. And it's always been quite a difficult concept to get across. The best calves always go for the best money. So you've got to use the best bulls and the best genetics. And
You know, I mean, I certainly in Oz, was it during the drought in whatever year that was, 2007 or whatever, and milk price was down and all of these sorts of things, good cattle still made good money. They were not the extreme highs that they were. Ordinary cattle were well down, but good cattle, good genetics, good families, whatever it happens to be, always made the money. So instead of making, say, 10,000, they might have made 8,000, but they still made the money. Yeah. And there's always people will buy if it's the right product. Now, like the example you're using, beef calves, exactly. Good calves will always sell.
They'll always be above.
Well, 100%. I can't agree more on that. And but that's the same across anything we're doing. The best land will always carry the premium. And it's that marginal wetter clay stuff that is grass only. Yeah, that's the stuff that gets impacted.
Right. Yeah.
And the machinery again, the machinery that's looked after, will always sell well. The stuff that's been abused, it's going to cost more money to put it right for the dealers or whoever, or the farmer who buys it. And that, as we always say, the best will always sell.
Yeah. Always does.
Can I just say on here though, Andrew, it's good to talk about your cookies that you made, because honestly they are unbelievable.
Thank you.
I did say I'm only coming if you have some nice biscuits, and he's gone all out. I didn't realise he's gone out on Saturday all day baking.
It was not for you. It was not for you, Greg.
But they are good.
Oh, that's all right. That's no worries at all. Thank you. But yeah, you were talking about the investment earlier. I mean, I remember when North Queensland, we built the rotary, we built the feed shed. My old man was like, we're spending $1 million just to milk cows. This is ridiculous. And yet, if you want to do it, it's big money. You've got to do it.
And there's guys out there who'd be 10 million borrowed.
Yeah.
They're 10 million borrowed. They're milking a lot of cows. They're fine. 10 would be the extreme I'd expect at the moment, but there's plenty out there who would be $1 million plus borrowed. They're doing good jobs, really good jobs, and that's the key. You do a good job, you can still pay your debt and your borrowings, and you still have a good lifestyle, and it all works.
Yeah.
The older generation
struggled borrowing that amount of money, didn't they?
They did.
Because I've had one or two say me, how someone said to me one time, he said, oh, this is what my borrowing is. And I'm like, well, my mortgage is as big as that. And you've got a farm and I've got a house. And he was sweating it a little bit. And yet you've got other people. I mean, like, let's be honest, this year, if they brought right, there's people out there have made some good money.
Last year. No, definitely.
So despite all the doom and gloom in some ways, it's also for those who've done it right. Yeah. I mean, as one said to me, though, he said, well, it's easy. I just say yes when you tell me I should be doing things. So he said, all I've got to do is listen to people like yourself and then do things.
You're the oracle.
I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far at all. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's the same as you. People will ask you, what should I do? Because the likes of you and I and Neil, we're not just on farm. We are out and about and see things, talk to people, hear things. Yeah. It's a bit like, it always used to be the AI man turned up. You talk to the AI man because he knew all the gossip.
God, the AI man's fountain of all knowledge.
they really are, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly what we used to have was.
Unbelievable. They know everything. Them and the foot trimmers. They know everything.
Yeah. And they're always talkative. So I've been in this sort of line for over 30 years, and if I've learned nothing, the one thing I have learned is you shouldn't really farm with your own money. So rather farm with the bank's money.
Well, there's a man around here, talking about that debt. I just think, I put it in perspective, 500,000 borrowed on 100 cows.
Yeah.
People think, oh, that's all right. But the same man who's milking his 100 cows thinks 5 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if you're milking 1,000 cows, your debt per cow is still exactly the same. Yeah. It's on different scales.
It's relative.
It is.
Because I think back. So I remember like the biggest herd in Australia, 2,000 cows, and you'd hear due to the extreme heat they'd lost this many thousands of litres or whatever it was. Yeah. And I sat there and I worked out in my head, and I'm like, well, that's only like half a litre a cow or whatever it was, because they were inside and they had fans and they had misters and they had this and that. And you're like, well, we lost 2 litres a cow, but of course it's that headline, hey, they've lost thousands of litres. Yeah,
exactly.
But it's relative.
Yeah.
So those big guys are well managed, and to be fair, when they say those, I'm not, as I said earlier, I like seeing cows graze. That's why I went awesome calving. But the big guys who milk a lot of cows, housed 365 days a year. You go to those units, they are immaculate. You cannot manage those cows poorly.
No.
You've got to be on your job, and they are well looked after.
They are. You're right. They've got to be. You've got to have the management there, or it's just not going to work.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just not going to work.
No, it's absolute truth. Yeah, I mean, but I agree with you guys. You go to units, those big units, and they really are state of the art and really well put together and really well kept nowadays.
But ultimately, if we had a brand new unit at home and we could put 400 cows in it, would we be grazing cows? Well, no, we wouldn't.
No.
Because you've invested the money in the sheds.
Exactly.
You haven't got the grazing.
Yeah.
You can go and graze 400 Holsteins or 400, bigger cows. You need a big grazing block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you in the Blackmore Vale, it's not there.
It's not there.
Definitely not there.
No.
Hence why the spring calvers are there's some good spring cows in the Blackmore Vale. You know them, I know them.
Yes.
Some good awesome cows in the Blackmore Vale, but how many big units do you see? Not that many, because there isn't those enough blocks of land to make them all work.
Locally.
Yeah.
No.
300 cows might be a sort of a peak.
Yeah, well, there's one family who's probably got 3 or 4 units milking more cows, but again, they're on little models.
So they're on models. Units. Yeah. Exactly.
Go to South Dorset, it's completely different.
But there, so going back then, Greg, because we sort of gone away from it. What story? No, that's fine. Because that's what we're here for, is just to chat and you know, and go wherever it goes. But what stories can you tell us? I mean, we talked about machinery going higher and things like that. But what, you know, there must be something about some, you know, farm sale and this happened or that happened or what surprised.
I don't know what I can and can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll think of something in a minute. I'll just come out with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what's the highest priced animal you've ever sold?
Well, we just done fat stock. We just had our fat stock last week. That was 415 pence a kilo for a limmy. So that was £2,600, which is probably the highest for the price for the fat stock at the moment. But I think that's reflective, obviously, where we've gone with beef price.
Everything else, yeah.
So that's pulled on through. Dairy cows, 3,000-4,000, I suppose.
Yep.
Highest price piece of machinery. Have I done it? I personally haven't done anything over 100,000 yet, because my old boss, Mr. Northcott, used to take all the glory. Anything that was good, anything good at the end, I was kicked off. So I don't think I've done anything over 100,000 yet. I've done.
So you won't be doing the same when it's now that you're in that position.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That was it. Because being a boy, you only sell you sell like the first 100, 200 lots, and it's always the lower class items, sort of the £1 to say, you know, a few thousand, and then you used to get to the end, and it was like you think, oh, he's going to let me sell, and then he goes, I'm taking on now. And you're like, oh, that's it. You just burst my bubble again. Yeah, no, we sold. We did when we even back when we did Critchell sale. I think we had what's down there, Alexian 600, I think it was at the time, TT with a 35-foot header, which was, back in the day, that was a big comment. That was 125,000. I think that was Mark's biggest thing back then as well. But
you must have sold some good cows if you did the Critchell sale, or was that not the cows?
No, the cows went somewhere else.
Okay.
Don't wind me out.
Okay, sorry.
No, so we never did the Critchell cows. I think some of them went private as well. But yeah, no, we 125 is the highest value I know to date at the moment. But yeah. I can tell you my first auctioneering experience.
Go on then.
That was a good one. We were down East Holm at Wareham.
Yeah.
And I remember going there. I thought, I've been out there, and the chat was like, "Who's selling?" And I was like, "I am." And then my voice was shaking, my legs were shaking. I was utter rubbish. Honestly, I've got a video of it still today. Whenever I feel bad, I look at that and think it could get worse. It was an ultimate low point. And but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then it got better and better and better, and now I'm just distinctly average. But we've got a placement student at the moment. She's Harper Harriet, and she wants to be an auctioneer, and she's mustard. She's, we've got to sell it within 2 weeks. She's keen, enthusiastic, but there's few real keen people who want to be auctioneers anymore.
Is that right?
Yeah. I hate 100%. There's nothing worse. If someone said, "Can you do a public a presentation?"
Yeah.
I would worry about that no end.
Yeah.
But you tell me, stand in front of 300-400 people and sell by the machinery. I love it.
No problem.
Just can't get enough of it.
Fantastic.
It's funny, like you say it, because the auctioneers were always the characters.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, there aren't the livestock markets around like there used to be, or anything like that.
None in Dorset anymore.
Well, no, I remember the old Froome one and Winford, and you got Salisbury still got something, hasn't it? But you say there's none in Dorset now that Shaftesbury's gone. That
was a real shame.
Yeah,
real shame.
Yeah.
Yeovil's gone, Sturmist is gone. Sturmist was the biggest calf auction in the whole of Europe back in the day. Yeah, back in the day. I
didn't realise that.
Yeah, I've been told that many times by Mr. Northcott.
Because this is showing my age now. I did my GCSE geography project on the reasons for relocation of Froome Market, and it was done about a year after they moved. And you could see like Froome Market on the map just to be that, and then it went suddenly that it's changed now, because obviously you've got Sedgemoor a little bit, I'd suspect some of it, but their geographical area just suddenly literally covered the whole of the south.
Yeah,
and they had Isle of Wight and all sorts of people.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of the Isle of Wight we still get coming through market every week. Every week you got Mr. Sherlock come in with his lorry.
Yeah.
And there'll be sheep, cows, barren cows, whatever cows every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
It is. It's just, but yeah, I suppose I would say, you know, each market had its own auctioneers, and each of them was its own character, and well, there isn't the markets anymore. I mean, locally, what have you got? Exeter, Frome.
So we would say Frome,
yeah,
and then you say we got
Sedgemoor,
Salisbury, Exeter. That's our main, I'd say, our core hub around in the southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you obviously go further down into Cornwall, but you know that's outside our area. But our main competitors, like from Frome, will be Sedgemoor, Salisbury.
Yeah.
You know, it's that triangle.
Cool. Yeah, but you know, it was in the past that would have been probably a dozen different markets.
Yeah. You know, every town used to have a market.
Yeah.
Dorchester market, Weymouth market, Yeovil market.
You see the old market crosses, don't you? A lot of these places. That's where the market would have been.
It's a real, I think, you know, it's a real shame. But you know, we're going to see it where the markets potentially, you know, in the next generation will die out. Not so much for cows and store cattle, but for your fat and your barren cows, I think.
Yeah.
And then you know what's going to happen. It'll be like the milk marketing board. Worst thing has ever happened. Absolute disaster. But the farmers want they want to look after the markets a little bit, use the markets, because without them, you're basically taking your animals to an abattoir and they're dictating the price. At least you've got competition.
Yeah, that's right. You face a price taker then rather than a
And let's be honest, markets, probably more than they are now, were very much a social hub.
Massively.
You know, I certainly remember probably my grandfather's generation more. You went to market, you got all dressed up in almost your Sunday best, and you went to market, and that's where you met your friends, and you spent the day. You probably went in with the wife, and this is not trying to sound sexist, but at the time, you went with the wife, she went shopping, and you went and sold your couple of cars and went and saw your mates all dressed up.
I've often said that to young farmers: put on a jacket, wash yourself up a bit, look a bit neat when you take your calves to market, wash the calves, go in there, so like your grandfather used to do, because it was quite a pride thing to take your animals there. And those were fantastic old markets and sales. But I was sort of thinking back to it. It's one of our, exactly what you guys are saying. You had such characters that were selling. And I had a lot to do with auctions in South Africa with the Breed Society. I used to go, a lot of those sales were under the auspices of this Breed Society, and I had to go along as the technical manager. And we used to, so I was very much involved with the auctioneers. And I mean, there were very regular buyers at these auctions, and they all had a different way of bidding. And you had to watch them and when they were bidding and what they were doing. And the auctioneers in those days would steal bids off everybody. And there was a whole system that everybody understood, and everybody was really happy with it. It was an outing. And recently I went to a sale, and most of the cattle were bought online. And sort of, so that whole sort of like hype was sort of, to me, wasn't actually there anymore. And I did sort of think exactly what you guys are talking about, that those markets, we got to protect those markets that actually stay, because it does give you an opportunity to showcase your animals and really go out of your way to sell them. So.
Well, I guess you say like online, it's got swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It allows more people to view, more people to access, more people to buy that wouldn't have done it. But then the downside is you're not bringing those people into the actual market. No. That client I'm talking about, they had some online sales, didn't they?
Yeah.
Very successfully. Yeah,
they are. You know, since COVID, people are still worried about going out and socialising in big groups. Even, you know, machinery sales, livestock sales, everyone is now expecting to be able to bid from home.
That's right. It's easier.
I thought we do. It is. Everyone thinks, oh, online must be so easy. It is so time consuming. You've got to go out, get the initial instruction, come back, and then come back to the office, obviously, right, and get the instruction. Think happy days, well done. And then go back out, catalogue, then go and have a viewing day, then have a collection day, then do all your invoice. It just takes forever. You know, the old-fashioned way when we started, it was used to turn up the day before, number them up, next day sell them, finished. Days and days and days now.
Is it?
Yeah. But
that's interesting. Now that you mention it, it makes sense.
No, I wish we could.
I'm sorry, I'm giving you some grief here.
Don't worry. I'll get a discount on my next load of feed every time. Yeah, no, online has changed the agriculture industry. You know, you've got guys. I've sold so many times. We had those online only, so they use just the webcams on us when we were selling sheep. And I remember one of Rachel was absolutely Rachel. So I was like my sort of works for me in Yeovil. She was absolutely freezing. The window in the kitchen is smashed. And it was like February. It was February, and it was slow, and the system wasn't working. It was all
that's funny.
new. And she had to take her halfway through. She had to get up and go and put a coat on and come back. My phone literally was vibrating for about 20 minutes when people just saying, "Is Rachel now warm?" And thousands of people watching that.
You say that, but how do you find that? Because Neil and I, what was this, 2-3 years ago, wasn't it? During COVID, did some online webinars, and it was completely unreal experience that Neil was obviously at home, I was here at home, and all I could see on screen was my projection. Couldn't see anybody that was listening to us because we did it live as well as record. You miss that, because I'd given a similar presentation live in the past, and you miss that interaction, and you sort of sat there going, how are people responding to this? I can't see them to know how they're responding to what I'm saying. Am what I'm saying interesting or not? How do you must find the same, surely.
You crack a joke and you hope that someone smiles.
Well, that's right, exactly. That's what we were doing. You sort of must have pause.
But you've got to try and make it humorous, haven't you? And you've got to make it entertaining, but you've got no feedback.
Yeah.
It's a bit like going to the pub, isn't it? Or going to a nightclub when you're younger. You speak to this girl and you give her your best lines, and is she going to respond? And she walks away. So, you just don't know what you're going to get with it.
Well, no, I know.
That's right, exactly.
Did you have Jules go away, or did you get a bit of feedback?
I never even had the confidence to ask.
No, but it is. You know, auctioneering is a. You're an actor.
I was just going to say,
you're an actor.
Are you a repressed actor?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I was no good at this. I've become an auctioneer. No, but you are an actor. You are there. You are the focal point. You've got to conduct. You're a conductor at an orchestra, aren't you? You're conducting everything that's going along. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I bet you do. Yeah, that's
I never knew I was going to do it. Never ever. And I was 24, 25 when I first did it. And I look back now and I would not change any of it. I absolutely love what I do.
Definitely glad that you become the accidental auctioneer rather than gone teaching.
Yeah. I don't think the teaching would have lasted too long, really.
It was a good idea at the time.
I've got some stories in that, but they are definitely not on this. That's definite pub talk ones. But a lot of my friends know about it. It's just an ongoing saga, really. That is the teaching.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You must have. Okay, if you take a step back, then you said you had the interview with one of the local schools, and Symonds Sampson was it the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
If you were doing that, what made you even go for the interview with Symonds Sampson, or was it a case of your father going, "Well, you need to get a job, Greg," or? It
wasn't even Dad. I was. I did a gap year before. Before uni, I did a gap year as a teaching assistant.
Right.
So it was always in my mind that I quite liked it.
Yeah.
But I think it was because I loved school. Absolutely loved it. Sport, the social. There's nothing better for me than going back after the holidays to see your friends.
Right.
So I think that's why I wanted to do the teaching route. The actual, when it came to it, the reality wasn't quite the same. But I don't know. And then I came back and I don't know. I just wanted to get a job. I just wanted a job.
I think that should be the title of this podcast when I put it out, The Accidental Auctioneer.
Yes, well, it is true. It is true. I never ever thought when I went for that interview I'd ever become an auctioneer. Never. Never. But I've always been obsessed with kit and cows ever since I was a little kid.
Which do you prefer, though, the kit or the cows?
I think everyone who knows me knows I love kit.
It's kit.
Yeah.
So you probably, like me as a child, had all the tractor posters on the wall and
I still have them now. Honestly, my days off, I have weeks off and go on with a local contractor and go trailer bashing, or I love it. I love kit, and I think that's which makes me different to a lot of the other auctioneers is I love it. Every night I would sit on my phone and ask Harriet. She loves it as well.
Yeah.
She, you know, she would just look at me and say, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, just on someone's website looking at these tractors or this combine."
Oh, so you're like, what was his name? Neil Paris, was it? Whatever it is?
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm looking at a tractor website. I'm looking at a tractor website.
Yeah, no, definitely not that. Definitely not that. Yeah, I love it. I just love kit. I love getting out and about with it. A lot of my friends are contractors. My best mate in Mere is a contractor. Nothing better than jumping in a tractor, playing with the new technology on it all. And you know, I understand it. I love it, and I hope that comes across when I sell it. So ultimately,
Sure does.
Yeah. There we are. There we are.
That's passion, and passion always sells.
It does.
And that's why I get emotional when someone goes to a different auctioneer and I think, why have you gone there? I was like, I love it. You know, I'll do I'll spend the whole 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks ringing every single person in the country I think will buy it, and I love it too much.
Well, it's good to see that, and I can see it coming in just the way you're talking, and you know, it's great, and that's as much what we want from this podcast when we do it, isn't it? It's about the people story as much as it's about what we're trying to talk about.
Right.
So we always want to know about someone's story as to how they got to where they are and why they're doing what they're doing, and because everybody can learn something from everybody else and what they're doing, or just be interested in. You just pick up on something and go, oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
no, quite agree.
But on that note, I think it's probably time to draw this to a close. So I'd like to say thank you, Greg.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for having me. Thank you.
No, that's right. So as it's getting,
thank you.
This will be going out on the 15th of December, like we usually do, middle of the month. And I'm usually a bit of a Grinch about this, but I guess better say it. Happy Christmas to everybody.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah, happy Christmas.
Yeah, happy Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, prosperous New Year. And then hopefully you'll all have all our listeners have a good Christmas with their respective families, wherever they are in the world. Still love to hear from any of our listeners around the world, just to, again, know who you are and what got you listening to us. So as usual, you can email us at podcast@ChewintheCud.com or follow us on Twitter at ChewintheCudPod. Also, we are on Facebook and LinkedIn. But we just love to hear. It's great. I know you as well, Neil, isn't it? You see, and I just showed you, Greg, before we started, you know, showing that, you know, we've got listeners in Germany and Ireland.
I couldn't believe it.
And Pakistan and Fiji.
Australia, America.
Yeah, you know, you just, we love it. I mean, we do this because it's about fun, and it's about just trying to get the story out there and let people think about it. And
hang on, I should play on that one. If you want me to come to Australia, do a farm sale, I'm there.
That's right.
I'm there. Australia, I'm there.
Australia, some competition. There's like one guy does all the auctions.
No, don't worry about that. I'm breaking in. I'm breaking in.
It's an opportunity.
Australia, if you want a guest auctioneer, Greg, just email me. I'll pass on your details.
Symonds Sampson International. I can see it now. I'm excited.
So yes, no, seriously, on that note, thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you.
And happy Christmas and a wonderful New Year to you all. And hopefully we'll hear again from you all, or you'll listen to us again come the New Year, and you've been enjoying what we've done for you so far. So thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And now for the really boring bit, I'm afraid, the legal disclaimer. The information provided during this podcast has been prepared for general information purposes only and does not constitute advice. The information must not be relied upon for any purpose, and no representation or warranty is given to its accuracy, completeness, or otherwise. Any reference to other organisations, businesses, or products during this podcast are not endorsements or recommendations of Chewing the Cud Limited. The views of Andrew Jones are personal and may not be the views of Chewing the Cud Limited, and the views of Neil Greggor are personal and may not be the views of Master Gen Limited and any affiliated companies. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.